Good morning. Here we are, episode 5. We're back together. Woo! So we're both alive and well and kicking, despite it being a tumultuous week. And we've decided that the topic of today's Unpacked episode is going to be fear.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun. We've already gone past Halloween, but we thought we'd just bring that back
Uh,
to the conversation right now. And it was your choice this week. Why did this come up
mm.
for you? Where's this
Well,
come
it had come up before, the fear of not recording. But genuinely, I'm going to do the card because
Okay.
weirdly enough, before we'd even decided, Craig and I did our morning check-in with each other,
Hmm.
and my choice of card was feel the fear and do it anyway.
Oh, nice.
Um, because we've had a bit of a thing with ending up off-road unintentionally, unexpectedly, and unsuccessfully, I have to say, because we had to turn around and come back again. And the fear, panic, and the video that never got recorded,
The
I,
episode that never was.
the episode that never was, I remember you talking about the really visceral experience you'd had of fear. And I was kind of thinking, oh, when did I last feel that? And then as I was overwhelmed by this physical fear
Mhm.
where I couldn't breathe. It all just, and I was just like, oh my God, this is, and it's like we talked about breathing, didn't we? And that kind of thing. So anyway, that's my choice of card, and that's why fear felt so real and relevant this week. I thought we should bring it back onto the agenda and ta-da, we're recording.
And I've remembered to press record. So, in theory, this episode of Fear should be going out into the world.
Excellent, excellent. What's your card this?
Now you've just said that, I've realized how linked our cards are. And when I picked it, I didn't pick it because of the topic of today. In fact, I'm gonna give another behind the scenes of something that happened this morning. So I didn't sleep very well and woke up just like a bit weird, not anything, nothing negative, just a bit, couldn't quite get myself going this morning.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I went onto Facebook to share an event that I'm hosting tomorrow. So I was like, oh, I'll just quickly do that before, we record the podcast. And the first thing that popped up was a video by a really good friend of mine, shout out Tanya Oldcroft, um, where she's just like dancing and she's at this dance party and you can see and she's dancing to the camera. I mean, she's an amazing dancer. She always has been. And God, it made me smile. It made me
Oh,
smile so much. I was like, do you know what? I need that. So I put on Spotify, I was like, dance music. I thought, whilst I'm eating my breakfast, just gonna, I'm gonna move, I'm gonna do some dancing. And so I did for about 90 seconds. That was all I did. And it was the song Free from Desire.
oh yeah.
It's like, 1990s
Whoa.
hit. So it's just like in the office, I'm like, I'm busting some moves. I'm like grinding my body, eating my banana on toast. I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling great. So then I decided to do my card after that. And I was like, okay, definitely high energy, definitely
Excellent.
feeling at ease, definitely in the yellow zone. And then what came out was, I feel courageous,
Nice.
which, you know, now that we're going into it, I'm like, that's so closely linked to
Yeah,
fear. And,
definitely.
this is kind of what we then need to connect with to take ourselves outside of that zone, like you say, where you just it can make you free. Like, they talk about the flight or fight response, and that is our, like you said, the visceral response of our body. We either go and
Don't do
and I can't do it. And no, I am not going down this road and I might fall off the cliff and, the road has ended. What should I do?
it. Yeah, that is exactly it. And sometimes those are metaphors, right?
Yeah.
Don't go down the road, you might fall off the cliff. There was a cliff, there was a road. I felt like I was going to fall off it. All of the things you fear, and then there were dogs, and then I was like, are they killer dogs?
Yeah,
Are these
obviously.
dogs going to come? And so it was all happening, and I had this point where I could breathe through it. I was just like, I can do it. And I kind of had control of it enough to keep going. And I was like, I can do this, I can do this, I've got this, and so we made quite some distance. It was when Craig stopped and said, I can't get through this, that
Yeah.
suddenly I just went to pieces. I
Yeah.
just went, oh my God, if Craig can't do it, oh my God, it's just that then I couldn't do anything. It was like I almost, it was the freeze fright fear. I just almost froze and went, oh my God, I can't do it.
That's
And
so
I
interesting.
really struggled to get over it then, because then I was hyperventilating, like when you're giving birth. I was like, breathe, I'm breathing, I'm breathing.
That's interesting though, because that just shows the power of, the power of copying someone else, faking it
Exactly.
until you
Courage
make
through
it,
others.
you know,
Courage through.
and we can't, maybe me by myself, I'm like, I can't do this, but I see somebody else
Podcast, like a podcast. We're doing
like
it
a
together.
podcast, but doing something together, that power of community, that power of, having your tribe, having somebody that what's a word that I would choose, that you admire and value, somebody that you look up to and you're like, okay, if this person can do it, okay, I'm gonna give it a go as well.
Exactly,
Mm.
exactly that. And it is, I mean, in leadership coaching, we call about the contagion effect. So as leaders, our mood, so a bit like you watching your friend on the video with the dance, that contagion effect of, oh, she looks happy and
Yeah,
energized and everything else, and I want to do that. And that's what we can do with each other, is we can shift our states through the effect we have on each other, up and down though, right? So I was like,
absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
courageous, I'm feeling the fear, I'm doing it anyway. And then the spiral was instant. As soon as Craig's confidence went,
Wobbled.
mine disappeared. I mean, I was hanging on by by a thread anyway. As soon as his went, mine just disappeared. And then I started swearing and crying.
Which I think is a very normal response in that situation. So that's absolutely fine. The other thing that's just come to mind that's happened this week was I took part in this incredible mental health coffee and chat workshop, which has been instigated by this incredible woman, Leona Burton, and her new mental health sidekick, Nicole Noel. And every fortnight they've created this free space where basically, you know, Nicole leads it, and sometimes she has some guests on. I'm going to be one of them in a couple of weeks' time. I'm really looking forward to that. But it's just an hour of this safe space where people come and they share, and whoever is, kind of facilitating the session that day brings some tools, and then we work through things together. And I mean, it's wonderful. And this week, the guest facilitator was a woman called Regina Martin, and we did a kind of session all around limiting beliefs, which was lovely. Obviously, I
Lovely.
love a good limiting belief and banishing them. Regina referred to it as she was going to give us a magic spell to banish them. And I have to say, I
Spells.
I came away, and this is linked to fear. This will make sense in a minute. I came away feeling courageous, and it stuck with me because what ended up coming up for me was the fear of, can't remember exactly what my limiting belief was, but it was basically it was around the idea, the fear of showing up with exactly who I am, everything that I've got, and kind of, and stop hiding behind things, stop being scared to just show up with everything. And so I did that, and then, with her magic spell, banished it away, and then have carried on, obviously working on it for the rest of the week. And I've got a big event tomorrow, which, as you know, has been keeping me up late at night and having many sleepless nights, because whilst I am the least shy person in any room, I don't have any problem going into a room full of 100 people and be like, hello, my name's Gemma, let's be friends. But you tell me that I have to stand up in front of those people and be the person, and I absolutely fall to pieces because I hate public speaking. And that for me is one of my biggest fears. And I'm not going to say I'm over it. I'm not going to say that tomorrow I am not going to be, you know, scared inside and feeling all of those things that you just said and like my breathing and feeling it in my chest. But I do feel slightly calmer. Ask me tomorrow. I might not
Nice.
be, but right now,
Oh,
it was all about Socratic questioning and
yeah,
questioning the thought process, questioning where it comes from, questioning whether it's yours, questioning whether the person that brought it to the table is actually somebody who is worthy of your time um and attention, really. And again, it was nothing that I hadn't done before. This is what
yeah,
I love about what we do. This is what I love about coaching, personal development, therapy, anything that is within this sphere,
yeah.
is that it never ends.
Nope.
There's always something. And even though, here, right up here, we might have all of the tools and we have the things, in our last conversation, and when I was like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And you're like, okay, let's go through the breathing. And you gave me all of these tools. And I was like, yeah, I know, but
I know.
they
Yeah,
don't work. They do not work for me when I get into that state. But there was
exactly.
something about this session that, for whatever reason, it clicked.
Yep,
And
yep.
then I did the work, for the rest of the week and by myself, went into things and went deeper. And I feel like I'm in a different space at the minute. At
No,
9:30 on a Monday morning, like 9:30 Tuesday morning, I might be a wobbly mess on the floor. I can't do this.
yeah. But they all pass, don't they? It's Jill Bolte Taylor in her book, A Whole New Mind. She looks at the neurochemical effects of these emotional responses that we have, and they last for 90 seconds. And you can almost feel the adrenaline going through you, the
Yeah.
cortisol, all these things that prompt these reactions in us. And like you say, normal, natural reactions to these circumstances in the main. Public speaking, maybe you're not going to die,
Nope.
but we create that meaning for us. And what Jill talks about is this 90-second trigger. You can either let those chemicals, dissipate through movement, dance, all those lovely things, breathing, or we re-trigger ourselves. And it's like, oh, but this and this and this and this, and then we just keep,
Keep going.
recreating that experience in our bodies. And that's been really useful for me because it's like in that moment of panic, it's like this will pass. And then, yes, I might feel the panic again, and then this will pass. So the back wheel was slipping on mud, and then I was really close to the edge, and it was like, and I thought I've just got to stop for a minute because I almost can't deal with the effects of this. But then, what was really interesting was noticing how they made me hyper alert. And that actually, when I tried to calm down, it was, when you're ready for action,
Yeah.
it gives you that readiness. And I had to roll with it in the end because I thought, actually, what my body is doing is preparing me to be hyper alert, to react really quickly, to see everything. And if you lean into it, you kind of go, freaking hell, look what I just did. And it doesn't look as impressive on the videos because there's me. Craig was like, are you actually GoProing this? And I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. Afterwards, it was funny. At the time, it's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I might want to watch this back.
Yeah, because it's so
Then me dropping the
useful.
bike and the whole thing. But it doesn't look as scary to someone watching as my experience of it, because so much of this you can't see.
Yeah.
When you're up on stage, nobody can see
I
because
mean,
it's
that isn't how I feel. I
unless you're
feel
like,
like everybody can see
yeah,
just how petrified
yeah,
I am.
yeah,
But just to go back to what you've just said, um, that's part of what we forget or what we've not been taught, so to speak, is that behind every emotion, there is a message. there is a meaning, there is a reason, and that our bodies are so wise. And like you said, like the biochemical response that happens, we can't control that. That's like our body is this huge antenna, just always, capturing messages from the world, and then its role is to protect us in some way. And that's what's happening.
Protect to prepare us, right? Because sometimes, you know, that preparation, the body's ability to ready us for situations, I just think is, that's why I'm so into natural healing, because I think if we trust our bodies, it can heal if we give it the space, the time, and what it's asking for. Typically, sleep and hydration, but obviously there's more complex things that need more complex things, right? But so often we interfere in our body's natural mechanisms, thinking that we know best, or worse, have someone else tell us, here's what you should be doing. And we're like, is it though? If we trust ourselves implicitly that our bodies can cope, suddenly there's some freedom in that somehow, I think.
Mm, mm. And like you were describing it as leaning in to the emotion, and I'd bring into the conversation here, almost, even though it's a word that can kind of cause a bit of pushback, but the acceptance of right now I am absolutely petrified, and instead of working against it and trying to, no, 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 I'm not petrified, no, I'm not scared, it's
Stop it,
fine.
yes, stop that.
Yeah, and that's just burying it. You're not giving space for it. You're not giving space for, okay, well, what's going on? Why am I petrified? What is it about this? Oh, it's this cliff edge. Oh, yes. Or, oh, it's being stood here in front of a group of people and feeling like maybe I'm not good enough. But
Yeah,
we have to connect with that actual reality of what's going on. What's the message, what's the thing that's causing this,
yeah,
before we can even contemplate coming out of it. And so for me, like that leaning in, the idea of acceptance is actually just giving space for and asking ourselves, okay, right, what's actually going on here? I'm scared, I'm petrified. Yeah, but why? And that then allows us to then take whatever steps we need to, if we need to. And sometimes we can't. Like you said, sometimes you just gotta get on with it. You just gotta be like, okay, well, this is it. And carry on riding through the world.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
No.
so that's
I,
your fear at the moment.
so I was also curious because we have this sort of loose structure of past, present, future. And what's interesting about where we're at is when you brought fear to the table, it was pre some of the things that you're doing. You had a couple of things coming up that week that you're like, oh my God, I'm really scared.
Yeah.
And we now post some of those things.
Mm.
And I kind of wonder, on reflection, how you now feel about that fear you had before the events.
Um, I think what I'd say is that the fear was always huge and so overwhelming until the actual moment that I needed to start doing the thing.
Ah,
So I recorded, or I was asked to be on mental health radio this week with this lovely guy. Today's the day of shout outs. Gavin J was the most incredible host and so sweet, and the conversation was really lovely and just flowed naturally. In the days leading up to it, the level of fear I would probably say was a 5 or 6.
mhm.
So it wasn't overwhelming because I was so excited as well. But I mean, there was definitely some fear, like, am I going to be good enough? What if, the conversation goes somewhere that I don't have the tools to be able, and I was just convincing myself, like you said, going into that spiral of the fact that I was going to be rubbish,
Yeah,
absolute rubbish, and the conversation was going to be a pile of poo, and it was going to be awful, and he would never ask me back, and everyone would realize what a huge fraud I am. That was what was going on, obviously, in my mind. And so that level of fear, 5, 6, was there, for maybe the week before. Sometimes it got bigger, sometimes it got lower. But actually, half an hour before the interview was about to start, it completely disappeared. And then it
Uh,
was pure excitement. The conversation just flowed and it was lovely. And they've asked me to go back on again in January, which is, very exciting. So the things that were really scary last week, actually, when push came to shove, I wasn't scared in the moment. I
yeah,
was scared in the lead up to it.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm really hoping that that's what happens tomorrow as well.
Well, at least you've got that evidence, that experience to say, and this is what happened last time. So that fear shift to excitement is absolutely possible, has happened, and is most likely to happen again. I mean, that's
Yeah, I mean, there's something else that I'm probably going to add, even though it's going to sound very superficial and, a little bit kind of ridiculous, but it works so well for me. And and I actually believe in it as well. Not that it just works well for me. I believe in this. I believe in the power of the body, the power of preparing ourselves from the outside, and that then,
yep,
seeping in and helping us feel in a different way.
yep,
But part of my Monday's always really crazy for me. And after this, I rush off and then I don't get home until about 10 o'clock at night. Um, but part of one of the things on my list of things to do today is to think about, what am I going to wear? What
obviously,
outfit? And and not like, oh my God, so they're all like, oh my God, you look so beautiful. But what outfit is going to make me feel the
yep,
most comfortable, the most confident? Tomorrow it will be red lipstick because red lipstick always
yeah,
wonders. Tomorrow I will be wearing high heels because high heels always make me hold myself differently. And
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
going to be one of my magic tricks for tomorrow. Like prepare my body
yeah,
before I go in there
yep,
so that
yeah.
the outside world I seem as confident.
Mm.
And then hopefully, like you said, this effect of copying, I can then copy myself. And on the
Yes.
inside, I can feel the same as well.
It's so true, right? So, I used to work in corporate, and outfits were a big part of my preparation for big meetings, big presentations, and all of those kinds of things. If I felt I looked good, then I. So, as you were saying that, I was thinking it's exactly the same with motorbiking. Everything I wear is armored
Hmm. Hmm.
because that gives me confidence and security. And
Protection.
yeah, protection. So clothes have now taken on a completely different meaning because, as people will see when they watch these, I wear the same thing. I have a backpack, so I've got about 5 outfit changes, and most of those are weather, weather,
Weather
not, yeah.
dependent.
But this armor I put on over the top that gives me the confidence to go out there and do it. I couldn't do it without. I mean, thankfully, most of the countries we're riding through, helmets are the law, but they weren't wearing them in Tunisia, and I was just like, and
Are
they were
they
just
not, are they not like the law everywhere?
no, no, and especially when you get to Asia, I mean,
Wow.
and it's weird because it's a bit like smoking. So in Albania, they're still smoking inside. It's freaky.
Yeah.
We've got so used to smoking being banned, especially in the UK, because you literally can't smoke anywhere. You see them huddled in, little shelters. Um, so we get so used to these things. Seatbelts. We talked about seatbelts. Was it
Yeah, we
last week?
did. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got used to these safety measures that we now take for granted. Um, yeah, so I think, how we prepare, the clothes we wear have a massive impact, whether that's standing in front of people so you feel confident or riding so you feel safe. It's massive, I think.
I'm going to bring another personal element to this. I might regret this one day, but hey ho. I mean, another thing that works well for me, and sometimes, Jose, my husband, he's even like, and this will make sense in a sec. He will ask me, like, have I put this particular item of clothing on? Because he can see the difference that it makes.
Yeah, yeah,
When we were told that we couldn't carry on having an IVF and they kicked us out of the clinic, like, go away. You will not come back here again because this is not going to work, obviously. I struggled a little bit with that. And for years, hormonally, my body was just a huge mess. I went into perimenopause very, very early. And 3 years, oh, actually, very soon, 3 years ago, um, Jose actually had a big scare, not me, because he found me passed out in the bathroom one middle of the night. And I was severely hemorrhaging. And anyway, cut a long story short, still here, survived it. It's all okay. But it was like a before and after for me with regards to my like female, health. And it became very clear that that part of my life was over. And so, I went through this process um of mourning and acceptance
Yeah.
and emotionally it was really, really difficult for me, even though, it had been 10 years since we'd been kicked out of the clinic. But, it was still, and it still is, and it comes up, it rears its emotional head from time to time. But one of the things that I decided to do when this happened was I was like, right, all of my old lady, ugly underwear that, we all put on when we've got our periods and we're just feeling fat and hormone. And I'm like, that's all going in the bin. And I spent
Lovely.
a small fortune on sexy lingerie. And it was like, yes, and this is how I will be dressing from now on. But for me, and it was very much a thing of like, I am reclaiming my femininity. I am
Ah,
reclaiming a connection with my body that I want to be proud of. I want to feel sexy. I don't want to feel like a failure because, this body can't produce children. And it was this huge um roller coaster of emotions. And one of the things that I did was start to wear lingerie every day. And and I did it all the time. And I felt so different. It then
yeah,
almost
yeah, yeah,
didn't matter what I had on the outside, because as soon as I put that, the lace bra and the lace knickers on, and they were matching, they had to be matching because I'm, very anal. I
yeah.
like a list and I like things to be matching. It it shifted completely how I felt. And if now I'm
Yeah.
ever, having a wobble or I'm, feeling like, oh God, I'm so disgusting. I'm so, fat. And I don't think I'm fat. It's just those days where we question everything. Jose will say to
Yep.
me, he's like, what knickers have you got? Like, go change your knickers. Go put a different bra and knickers on, because he sees what that means to me and what a huge shift it can, it can create in how I then move through the world.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know how we got
Wow.
there. How did
We
we
should
get
look for
onto knickers?
sponsorship with like Victoria's Secret or something. We should start
I
name
accept.
dropping people who could act. Say, who was it?
Yeah, I said I accept.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I accept. Victoria's Secret, anything from El Corte Inglés because they have lovely lingerie. Anything Marks and Spencer's, if you've got anything sexy and feminine, we'll have that as well. Anyone,
Yeah.
anyone.
I love it. Well, I have to go larger size. How have we got onto this topic of conversation? My God, from fear to bra sizes. Yeah, I'm happy to do Bravissimo and we can
Oh,
be.
but that's nice. Yeah, Bravissimo. We also accept sponsorship from you. Yes, yes, we do.
As long as we don't have to sit here recording the podcast in our underwear.
I
Uh,
also have no issue doing that. I am not shy. So if that is the terms and conditions, I accept. It's fine.
hey, okay, well, let's see where this leads. Another fear to overcome. Obviously, we've demonstrated we're perfectly capable of overcoming fears. So there we are.
Maybe that is why we were led here, so that
The
your
future
fear,
seed has been planted. Our
yeah,
fear in the future
your
podcast
fear
in
of
our underwear.
being semi-naked on the YouTube video vlog of this. Maybe this is you've just put that out into the universe, Linz. What can I say? It's probably going to happen.
Let's see the power of visualization, shall we? And here we are on episode 505. We are in our underwear, and this week's sponsor is.
I'm completely fine with that. Honestly, I really am. And anyone that knows me is like, yes, Gemma would be fine. She doesn't
Yeah.
mind being naked.
So we've
So,
got fears of public speaking. I fear of doing the underwear thing. Dear God. Yes.
what what do you think your biggest fear has been?
In the past,
Hmm.
loss.
Hmm.
Fear of loss. After my brother died, I was very scared of loving again because of the loss.
Yeah.
So fear of loss without a shadow of a doubt. It affected all of my relationships because I just prefer to cut people off. I still do to some extent. It takes a lot for me to let someone in. I have to really get that energetic connection
Mhm.
that otherwise I'm just like, yeah, you might die, so me.
I mean,
Sad but true.
understandable. No, but I mean, I think understandable when you go through something as, life shattering and tragic as that, it does teach us lessons, and the lesson that we learn when we lose someone so important to us is quite often, okay, well, I don't want to feel that again, so I'm going to do everything that I can to protect myself from it. And obviously that has consequences as well, and we make our world smaller,
Mhm.
you know.
Lovely. I just love less for a long time.
Mm. What do you think helped you get over that fear?
NLP made a massive difference in my life, I
Mhm.
think. And I had my son, and it was like an unavoidable truth of love.
Yeah.
Like you can't not, well, I don't know, maybe you can. I could not love my son. And so there was that lesson in motherhood of unconditional love and the expansion in your heart of that experience. Um, so then there was sort of family love, but it was people you invite in to be loved, that you
Yeah.
have an option. Do I want to love this person or not?
Mhm.
That was where the difficulty lay. So it's then a case of, well, do I shut love out of my life and therefore, like you say, shrink
Mhm.
emotionally myself to a size that I don't feel any pain anymore?
Mhm.
Do I open myself up knowing that I'm going to be hurt? There is pain, but with that comes all of those other joys and, you know, all the good stuff. With the light comes the dark.
Yeah. Well, it's the balance, isn't it? I mean, we refer to this quite often in this idea of, finding the balance between the two extremes. It doesn't matter what topic we talk about, but somehow we quite often end up back here. And that, yes, loving can bring tremendous pain when that disappears for whatever reason, or it ends, or we lose the person. And it can be heart-wrenching and, physically, this agony of the hole that's left of that person or situation or job. Because I think when we talk about loss, we automatically think about people, but there's lots of other losses that we go through in life.
Like you say, the loss of potential motherhood is huge.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
And then the other extreme, which is the overwhelming joy and happiness and excitement and all the wonderful things that come with it. And we can't actually stay in either one of those. Or, yes, we can. No, not
Mm,
we can't.
you can
The-
try.
a balanced way of
Yeah,
living
yeah.
is that, or balanced way of perceiving these things is realizing that actually love is in the middle and goes backwards and forwards.
Everything is love, isn't it, at the end of the
Yeah.
day? I read oh, Anita Morjani's book, Not Cancer Healed Me, that's another one. But in that, her message is that we all come from and go back to love. And
Mhm.
it really resonated when I read it. I thought, that's it. That's what I've been shutting out. That's where I've denied myself things because I'm not allowing love.
Mhm.
So that was a big shift.
And
So what
what
about you? What's your biggest fear?
uh,
Or what was it?
uh I mean, my biggest fear is the same as yours, really. Um, Losing the important people in my life. I mean, I want to cry right now, just thinking about anything ever possibly happening to Nicholas.
Mm.
Um, I'm not going to say I wouldn't be able to cope because I think we cope with a million things that we would never imagine. Um, I wouldn't ever want to have to cope with that, I think is what I'll say. But also, my sister, my mom,
Mm.
my husband, my best friend,
Mm.
like, and all the key people in my life,
Yeah.
something ever happening to them is without a doubt my biggest fear
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they are me.
Yeah.
Where, like you say, you talked about you you allow yourself to love and connect properly with people that you feel this energetic link to, and they
Mm.
are my energetic links in this world.
Yeah. Yeah, someone shared a C.S. Lewis, I think it was a poem, but I'd have to find it, but how we in unison create ourselves. So we are different when we're in isolation. So us in unison with others, we become our whole selves because we bring out the best, the worst, and every part of ourselves when we're in unity with others. So when those key people are missing, the version of ourselves is different.
Absolutely. Oh, you need to find that poem, please, and
I
send it
will.
to me. It sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you think your biggest fear is going forward? Is it
Well,
still loss?
aging to some extent, because what was rattling through my head as I'm riding along as a 50-plus-year-old woman with no experience of riding was the deterioration of my physical strength. That how much can I control my aging process, basically? My eyesight going and and I suppose just that fear of deteriorating into I don't want my life to just whimper out when I'm like, mentally and physically just, a bit of a waste of space. I'd like to either go out with a bang doing what I love, which is why I'm doing this, because it's like, well, if I die doing it, great.
Okay,
Don't
but I
want
mean, let's try and not.
to
Okay.
die doing it, but neither do I want to keep myself it's a bit like love, isn't it? I don't want to keep myself so safe from all these amazing adventures that I never experience life.
Mm.
So yeah, I think aging and the fear of losing my faculties and you know that that isn't a great thought for the future.
So the idea of loss, but more on a personal level. So losing your
Yeah,
autonomy, your strength,
yeah,
your ability to be you, to be able to do the things that you want to do.
yeah, yeah, yeah. About you?
Again, very similar, but not necessarily linked to age, but linked to health.
Hmm.
I'm scared that I'm not going to be able to control my body in the way that I want to. And
Hmm. Yeah,
I'm not going to say I am doing it at the minute, but I'm definitely at a place that I'm happy with.
yeah,
I'm grateful for my body and I'm grateful for the fact that my health is so strong at the minute, but I'm also so aware of how much effort that takes on a
yep,
daily,
yep.
daily basis. And
Exactly. It's so, what's the word? I was going to say precious, but so, uh, you know, like we woke up this morning really feeling fabulous, but 2 days ago, whenever it was, just aching. It's
mm,
like, it's tenuous, isn't it?
very, and for me to be well, there
Yeah.
is a huge amount of effort and process that goes into that. So so for example, yesterday we were out for lunch and it was lovely. But where we went for lunch, there weren't that many options for
Mm.
me to be able to eat in the way that I normally do. So I normally have, you know, at the minute I would say 99% of the time, but over the last 3, 4 years, I would say 80% of the time I've had an anti-inflammatory diet, which means um no gluten, minimal dairy produce. I would eat meat. I haven't eaten meat for a year, but before that, meat and fish, but not in excess. Is that the word in
Yeah,
English? I'm
excess,
like,
in excess. Yeah, yeah,
excess,
yeah.
is that the right word? And so that's not always easy to
Hmm.
find.
Hmm. Yep.
I've been very strict with my diet for the last month or so because I had another flare, I had another wobble, and my legs were going a bit, skewiff again. Um, and so I've been very happily strict. So, I don't see this as a restriction. I've been very happily strict about my diet, and I've
Get
been
on to yourself. Yeah,
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 and feeling a million times better, like so
yeah,
much better.
yeah.
Yesterday we went out for lunch. We went to this restaurant. It was beautiful. It was lovely, but like I said, there weren't that many options. So I ended up having I had a risotto with shiitake mushrooms and viedas. What are they? The little round fish thick scallops.
Love.
Um, but
Mm.
white rice doesn't settle that
Yeah.
well with me. And as I was having this lovely risotto, I was like, yes, I will be having a lovely glass of crisp white wine to go with it. And it was delicious, and I don't regret anything. But I can already today
Yeah.
feel the difference in my body.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
woke up with not a headache because of the wine, but one of the first things for me is that I'll get a migraine as soon as I'm not eating. Anyway, cut a long story short, um, I, in order to be the level of well that I am at the minute, there are 6 or 7 things that I need to do. I need to sleep enough. I need to have zero stress. I need the type of food that I'm eating to be the right type of food for me. I need to be taking my supplements. I need to be doing exercise, but an exercise that works for my body. So going to the gym, it's too much for me. I need to do yoga,
Yeah.
as well as lots of other things. And when I don't do those, obviously very quickly my body starts complaining to me, and it's like, excuse me, what are we doing?
Hello.
um but sometimes I get really tired of
Mm.
having to put the
Yeah. So
effort
much
in
effort in. Yeah,
and
yeah.
having to measure my activity and be like, okay, today I've got a really busy day. Tomorrow I know that I'm going to need a quieter one. So it's all of this thing, this constant juggling and being alert and being aware of
Yeah.
my own needs, which is important. And this is my job. This is what, I say to people, yes, we need to shine the light inwards. And I believe that firmly, but I'm also highly aware of how frustrating it can be sometimes
Yeah.
and how boring it can be always having to prioritize certain things before
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
So I think maybe my
Yeah.
fear is not being able to or not managing to find the balance for whatever reason, and then my physical health, you know, go downhill and
Yeah.
all the things that would
Yeah.
come with
Yeah.
that.
Exactly.
So yeah, so similar in a way.
Scary.
And similar, about aging, but about, that loss of control of our body and our
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
our
Yeah. Yeah. Or
reality.
declining health and the impact that has on us. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah, and how to age positively. There's loads of lovely. I'm wondering if next week we should pick a positive topic.
Really?
How we met.
A positive topic? Do we know what that is?
It will come, it will manifest. And I already know which card I'm going to pick for my because this is since I got a really expansive feeling when we started talking about love, and the card that immediately came to mind was I trust in a higher power. And I think it's relevant for that future, that we will change, we will age, and I am completely fine with that. I don't wear any makeup most of the time. I don't, it's not about looks and vanity, it's about health and vitality. And I trust that the future, whatever it brings, that we will navigate it. Yes, we'll have to change habits and the way we are. I really trust that, you know, we will have a good life, a long life full of joy and happiness and love, and it will be great.
Well, that is a lovely way to end it. I'm just quickly going through mine. Um, I think the one that I would choose will be this one. The little tortoise, the colourful
Ah,
tortoise. Never give up.
yeah,
Um, because fear is a friend, however corny that sounds. Um, and if we view it that way, is if we view it as, information and as a tool to see where we are,
yeah, yeah.
then there's no reason to fear the fear because it's just something else that's being brought to the table. And that then opens the space for us to never give up and keep
Mm.
moving forward because we don't have to be frozen. We don't have to be blocked and, get stuck in that emotion. But we can then take the next tentative step outside and be like, okay,
Mm.
let's keep going. And I think that for me, actually, just going back to what you were saying before, that's where the breath
Yeah,
is
yeah,
important.
absolutely.
Not in the fear, but it's in that moment of feeling the fear, knowing what's going on when you've made space for it and you're like, oh my God, I think I'm going to die, even though I know I won't. But it's then taking that breath afterwards and saying, okay, I'm going to carry on anyway.
Mhm.
And I think that is the powerful breath for me is the one that we take afterwards before we move forward.
Beautiful. Yay.
Yay. Well, I don't feel scared right now, so that's good. Thank you very much.
It feels very expansive, like that growth, and from the beginning and the kind of high energy we were feeling to this love, it just feels very, you know, expansive and connected. So
Calm. I definitely feel calm, but like, yeah, like in a kind of Zen way, like, yeah,
yeah,
I'm gonna be really scared tomorrow. Yeah.
it's gonna be fine. You're going to be amazing.
We'll
You're
see.
gonna have to find ways of sharing all these links, all these things that you've been doing, the health radio. I assume it can be listened back to, and all the people that you've mentioned, and all the great things.
Well, Gavin's interviews are actually recorded beforehand, so the this ep our episode will go live Monday the 2nd because we always I give myself a week. A week to do the editing and everything. So we record on a Monday and then we release the episode the following Monday. So this will go live Monday the 2nd, and my interview with Gavin will have gone live on the Sunday. So it will be
Perfect.
available for playback. So yeah, we will figure all of these things out as we go
We
along.
are learning and growing.
We are. We've had a lot of shout outs today as well. A lot of shout outs to people. And can I just say, you have the most amazing memory, like recall. Be like, yes, this person wrote this book, and oh, let me just give you this quote from this person. I'm like, oh my God, this woman's incredible. I don't have that memory.
It's
My brain does not work in that way at all.
Well, I've still got to see if I may have got it wrong. Jill Bolte Taylor's definitely right, but C.S. Lewis, not so sure. But I'm going to find it because it impacted me, and I think it might be useful to people who are listening to this. And just
Absolutely. And it just sounds like a beautiful poem anyway. So let's share that with the world.
there you go.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Well, episode 5, done and
In the bag.
dusted. In the bag. We've done fear. We've ticked that box, and we're going to go and get on with our lives. And you will continue to travel around the world, feeling the fear and doing it anyway.